Hey there. Let's talk about what kind of gear I've got that we're going into the 2019-2020 deer hunting season here in Alabama. When I first started shooting that 45-pound bear recurve years ago, first bow I'd ever shot, first bow I'd ever owned, and when I started shooting it, I used one of the 3-finger gloves. When I bought this bow, I didn't have the glove, and I decided I was just going to try something different, and I made me a tab. Just cut it out of some leather, and that's what I've been shooting with. And honestly, the jury's out whether I prefer a finger glove or a tab, but you know, either way, something to protect my fingers from the string, and that's one piece of equipment. I'm using an old Saunders arm guard that I've had for years and years. I used it with a compound bow, PSE compound that I had, and so that's another piece of equipment that is really pretty essential, especially when you're first starting out. That arm guard, you got a lot of guys that are experienced that don't use an arm guard anymore, but for me, I'm going to make a bad mistake in my form, and I'm going to sting the back of that arm. Now, I've only been back at this for, I don't know, a month. You know, I picked a little bow up and decided I was going to start shooting it, and you know, I've had it for over 3 years. And the bow itself is a Fleetwood, and it's the edge takedown. Now, the bow is 62 inches long. It draws 35, it's a 35-pound bow at 28 inches. My draw length is 29 and a half. I shoot a 31-inch arrow, and so, you know, 35 pounds, give or take a little bit, is what I'm drawing. I made my silencers out of some camouflaged yarn that I picked up at Walmart, and I cut me some little pieces and I tied it in there, and it does a really good job. And so that's the bow. And when I bought the takedown, the bow tech recommended that I use a bowstringer. I told him, I says, you know, I've always just, you know, old school strung one up, and he says, no, with these it's not really recommended. And for a few dollars, you know, I picked up a bowstringer, and I've grown kind of accustomed to using it to string and unstring the bow, and it's something that'll fit in a pocket and carry it with me. Right now I've got 2 different types of arrows in here. When I bought the bow, I bought a half a dozen Beeman center shot arrows, a 500 spine, 8.3 grains per inch, and I've been shooting a 100 grain field tip. And one of these arrows is off in those woods over there. I still have to go find it. I looked for it a couple of times, and it's just that's what happens when you make a bad shot and the thing glances upward and goes out into the woods. And the other one, I'm down to 4 of these. I lost one in the woods, and the other one I was shooting around an obstacle, practicing some stump shooting, roving type shots, getting ready. I'll use this setup for small game, for rabbits, and I was practicing a shot where I had some obstacles. and I slapped the side of a table out in the yard, and it broke that arrow clean in two. And so you got to be careful about that. Carbon arrows will break. And when I do use these for small game, what I'll put on the end, instead of shooting that broadhead and or using a target tip, I'll use a 125 grain bludgeoning tip. I got these. These are also made by Saunders, hard rubber. They hit hard. They hit really, really hard. I've had some fun playing with those. And what I'll be using for the deer, I've got one on the arrow in here already. Let's see, where is it at? Is that it? No, that's not it. There it is. Old school Zwickey 2-blade 135 grain broadhead. In the state of Alabama, you've got to have at least 7/8 of an inch on a broadhead. These are 1 1/16 of an inch, and they fly really, really good. Got spider webs on here. I was out walking in the woods this morning and encountered one of those mean, wicked banana spider webs that sticks to everything. And so that's what I'll be using for deer-sized animals this season, this go around. And I'm thinking that almost exclusively, this is what I'll hunt with for small game, and with the exception of the muzzleloader seasons that we'll have on the management areas. There's one opening the week before regular gun season opens, and then there's another one in December. I think the second week there's a 5-day muzzleloader season. You know, I may be doing something like that with a flintlock, but trying to keep things as primitive as I can and to reclaim a love for being out there that over the years some of that I've lost, and it's due to, and I hate to say this, but just killing too many deer. I was very, very fortunate that I had the opportunity to do the kind of doe control that I was doing at one time, and but I just burned out. You know, I hated to kill anything, and that's part of it. You're going to eat. Somebody's got to kill for you in order for you to eat. If you're going to eat a piece of meat, somebody's got to kill that animal. And I'm tired of the pussyfooting around. Go out and harvest an animal. That's a bunch of bull. You go out and kill an animal. You harvest tomatoes, or you harvest potatoes, and killing a deer, that's a whole different ball game. Killing a squirrel, that's a whole different ball game. It's something that, whatever you do, never lose your respect for that animal. Never lose the awe factor, and get into some type of just mechanical killing mode that when you've killed that animal, you're shouting and hollering yippee because you took out this beautiful buck, or you killed this thing, or you killed that thing. That's garbage in my book. And I'm hoping that as we go through the season, and St. Hubert smile upon me and help me and guide my hunt, and I'm hoping to a couple of deer this winter, as opposed to back in the day when I was shooting 6 or 7 deer a season. I'd like to kill a couple of deer primitive style with the bow and maybe with the flintlock. And so that's what we've got coming up. And with the killing a deer with the little recurve, I'll definitely have to process that one and turn it into finished products, not just the meat but the hide as well. I wanted to say a little something about my quiver, and I want to do that. The quiver was a gift from a friend of ours. I'm not gonna name names on the YouTube, but a good friend of ours. When I retired, when I graduated from the workforce and retired at age 62, Tabby made me the quiver. And one of the things that I did to modify it to what I needed it to be, I took a piece of 3-inch PVC thin wall pipe and put in it to stiffen it up, and then I took a possum pelt, a possum that I had trapped a couple of winters back, and I trimmed around the front of the PVC pipe so that the arrows don't rattle nearly as badly. So that's what we've got going on. And not only that, but I've got a chicken cooking in that cast iron Dutch oven over there that I need to check on. And I promised you though that I was going to do a review of what I was shooting, and there you have it. Now, am I recommending a Fleetwood bow? Well, I cannot disrecommend them. I've been shooting this one a lot. In fact, as I build up, one of the things that I want to do probably for next season, as I get more conditioned to pulling the bow and shooting and holding that weight, maybe next season, maybe we'll step it up a notch and put some 40-pound limbs on it. And for a bow that gets you in the woods, or a bow that you can shoot in the backyard, that you can grow with, you can buy this bow, I believe, with 30-pound limbs, 35-pound limbs, 40-pound limbs, and 45-pound limbs. So it gives you something that if you're unable to draw a 45-pound bow, you can buy something that you can draw and then build up to it. So the main reason I wanted to mention this, the main reason that I bought the takedown, is that there was a day Shirley and I were planning on taking off in a van and doing some extensive staying gone camping and boondocking and that sort of thing. And I wanted to have something in the van with us that didn't take up a lot of room, and something that would provide a means to procure meat in the event something happened and we found ourselves isolated or stranded. We always would have a way to go out and get something to eat. And so that's the main reason I bought the takedown. And the reason I bought the 35 is because I'd hurt my shoulder years ago, and it was something that I could handle. And one of the things I'm really enjoying about it is the passion that develops, and the constant observance of what I'm doing. And no, I'm not the best shot. I can shoot from time to time, pretty often, I'll shoot a group the size of my fist, and that's good. 15, 20 yards in these woods, if you can shoot a fist-sized group, you're you're going to be killing deer all the time. If you can 15-20 yards shoot a pie pan sized group, you're still going to be killing deer in these woods. So you know, that's what this little bow's all about. Appreciate you watching. I'm going to check on that chicken, and we'll see you on the next one.